Hi YouTube, and welcome back to my channel. So happy New Year, since I know I haven't made a new video since last year, and I didn't think I was going to, although I kind of kept thinking I would, but I don't know, just life gets in the way, and just trying to get through the rest of the holidays and just everything. But today I have a specific topic I kind of wanted to cover, and so I thought today would be a good day to make a new video. I have been doing obviously a lot of introspection and just thinking about who I am, who I want to be, where I want to go with my life, that kind of thing. And one of the things that I've delved into are different areas of sexuality and that kind of thing. And so today, I guess I'm kind of coming out. I've kind of come out as in a blog as well, but no, I'm not a lesbian or anything like that. But I have come to realize that I am demisexual, and this has come from a lot of just thinking back on how I've always handled relationships, especially intimate relationships, in the past, and it's just kind of just made sense to me that, hey, you know what, this is very much who and what I am, with a little side dish of sapiosexual as well. And let me explain all of these things. You know, I know a lot of people are kind of rolling their eyes and like, oh, you know, yet another person that's getting on this bandwagon of these different sexualities and blah, blah, blah. But, you know, sometimes labels can be useful because you can then, as people become more and more aware and understand what the labels mean, you can then kind of say, hey, you know, I'm demisexual, and it conveys a whole lot of information that you don't always have to say, like, you know, this War and Peace level of explanation of why you are who you are. By just saying, hey, I'm this. You know, I can say I'm an atheist, and hey, people understand that, hey, she does not believe in any kind of God of any kind, that, hey, she probably does believe in science, and, you know, that one label conveys a whole lot of information. So when I say I'm demisexual, that should convey a whole lot of information, but of course it's a relatively new term, and so therefore a lot of education needs to happen. And so I know a lot of people, when they first come across demisexual and they see the definition of it, they think, well, isn't that just normal? And kind of let me kind of back up here. So demisexuality is, in a nutshell, a person who has no sexual attraction to another person until there's an emotional connection. And what people seem to get from that is that, oh, you just want to wait until you fall in love with them before you have sex, which is sort of a fairly normal thing. A lot of people do that. A lot of people hold off and not have sex until they fall in love, or at least they have some kind of an emotional bond with the person before they have sex with them. Demisexuality isn't that. and it's been hard to explain this to people, and so I thought I'd make this video and kind of talk about it a little bit, because and it's one of the things that people don't realize is demisexuality is actually on the asexual spectrum. Asexual meaning, and there's a whole wide range of where people can fall on that spectrum, but for asexuality, it's basically having no sexual attraction to other people, for the most part. I mean, there's a whole wide range. I mean, some people who are asexual are sex repulsed. That is, like, I think, the extreme end of it, where the entire thought of sex, masturbation, just everything in it, anything and everything related to sex actually repulses them, and they have no interest in it whatsoever. But then there's areas like there's gray asexuality, and there's all these different areas, and I don't understand all of them myself, so I'm not going to go here and try and explain everything about asexuality, because I'm hardly an expert on any of this. And it's demisexuality that I've kind of looked into the most, because that's the one that kind of resonated with me the most, because, you know, I'm not asexual in terms of sex repulse or anything of that nature. I definitely do enjoy physical intimacy with a partner. But I really only enjoy it when there is that emotional connection. I will admit in the past I have had a couple of instances where I did like a one night stand kind of a thing. I was safe about it, obviously, but since I've never contracted anything, never got pregnant, that type of thing, so obviously I've always practiced safe sex. But yes, I have had a couple of one night stands in the past, and you know what? I'm not ashamed of it. It's just, it's a thing, it happened, but they left me wholly unfulfilled, and I don't know, it just wasn't mind-blowing in any way, shape, or form. And I apologize if any of the guys remember me, and I'm like, I'm sorry, but it wasn't you, it was me, seriously. It's just because the emotional connection wasn't there, the whole scenario just felt wrong. And so that's kind of part of where the demisexuality comes into place, is the fact that you generally don't even get aroused if there is no emotional connection. And generally if I'm in a situation like that, I tend to have to rely a lot on fantasy in my head in order to get myself aroused, if that makes any sense. And so it's just, so that's the thing, is it's not like you're holding back and just choosing not to have sex until you're in love. It's not a choice when it comes to being demisexual. That's one of the things I have realized about myself. It's like, no, it literally isn't a choice. It's not something I chose. I certainly have never had an opposition to having casual sex. I just don't enjoy it, and therefore I just don't do it. I mean, like, I've done it a couple of times, but after a couple of times I'm like, what's the point? It's really not that enjoyable, so why do it? I'd rather read a book, to be perfectly honest with you. And yeah, that's the big thing, is, and I can go for weeks or months without having any sexual desire whatsoever. And a lot of people like even women look at me like, I mean, there's a lot of women that experience that, and I'm not saying that necessarily means that they're asexual or demisexual or whatever, but that's definitely, I think, one aspect of it. Sorry for the little the jump in there. I had to go downstairs and close the door. I forgot I was doing laundry at the same time. Anyway, so yeah, bottom line, and I think that's where it becomes asexuality, is because whether there's a choice involved or not, between choosing to abstain from sex, even if you want to have sex until you're in love with somebody, versus you're physically not interested in sex until you fall in love with someone, or at least have an emotional connection of some kind. Infatuation may even be enough for some people. So that's the difference. Having a choice, not having a choice. Like, physically not having a choice in terms of how much someone arouses me based on how much of a connection we have. And so, I hope that kind of makes some sense. And then I threw sapiosexual in there as well, because, to be perfectly honest, it's another thing that I realized about myself, and I realized this about myself years ago, I just didn't have a word for it. With sapiosexuality, you're basically only sexually attracted to people who are intelligent, and you can have an intelligent discourse with them. And yeah, that's totally me. I went on many first dates through Match.com, etc., way back in the day, like 15, etc. years ago. And for the first dates where the person that I was on a date with, well, the guy, because I never dated a girl, if they could not hold their own in a conversation and have at least something intelligent to say, instant turn off for me. Just like, okay, I could be friends with this person, but I could never be intimate with this person because just, one of the things I love about being in a relationship is being able to sit down with someone and just have these deep intellectual conversations. That's one of the things I loved about my husband, is because he was so ridiculously crazy smart, and we could sit and talk for hours on end about everything and anything. And we'd often watch TED videos on Netflix and then discuss what we just watched for an hour afterwards. It'll be like a 10-minute video, and then we go talk for an hour about it afterwards and things. You know, and that kind of stuff actually really gets me going. I love that kind of a discourse with someone. And while, okay, I'm not going to jump the bones of every intelligent guy I come across, because that's not going to happen. And I have a lot of really good, intelligent male friends that I do have lots of intellectual discourse with, and no, I'm not going to go around and sleep with them. But that is one thing that is a huge, important component for me to actually build an intimate connection with someone, to want to have a relationship with them, is I need to have that intelligent discourse with them. If that doesn't exist, we're not going to have a relationship. It's just not going to happen. And then on top of that is then building onto that, having the emotional as well as intellectual connection for me. And when all of that kind of aligns, that's when all of a sudden I am open to having a sexual relationship with them. Until then, just nothing. Nothing's interested. No, you know, it's just there's just nothing going on. I'm like, you know, are we done yet? I have a video game I'd rather play, or I mean, serious. I could go for months and years and not have, you know, another person in my life, and I'm fine with that. I was fine with that before I met my husband. I will be fine with that now that he's gone. Loved him to death, and I will always love him, and I will always miss him. And I'm not holding back on dating. I mean, I have been holding back on anything, because I have had a few people try and ask me out already. One was like 2 months after, like 2 or 3 months after I lost my husband, someone was hitting on me, and I'm like, seriously? And it's, you know, it's been sort of like all within the range of it's too soon. And it is still too soon. I mean, the first anniversary of his passing still is another 2 weeks away, something like that, 10 days away. So, actually no, it's sooner than that, isn't it? I keep losing track of time. But it's the 31st of this month is the anniversary. And so, that's sort of like, in my mind, that's a dividing line of okay, after that, it might not be too soon anymore, but that doesn't necessarily mean I'm just gonna go hop right back on Match.com. In fact, I'm done with all that. In fact, I stopped doing online dating and all that stuff 1.5, 2 years before I even met my husband. Because I was just so done with it, and I was like, you know what, if I meet someone, I meet someone just throughout life, and if I don't, I'm happy. And I started becoming happy with just being on my own and finding joy in other things in my life. And that's one of the things I'm still doing, it kind of took me a while last year to kind of like, okay, what can I find joy in again? Okay, I still find joy in writing, so I'm still writing. I do still find joy in playing video games. I do still find some joy in the analytics work that I do, although I haven't been doing any for a while. But there's just, you know, there's things like, okay, what else can I occupy my time with that I enjoy now that I don't have this person in my life? There's this void there, so what can I fill it with? And, you know, trying to fill it with healthy activities. You know, I'm not sitting there spending 20 hours playing video games. I will admit I've lost myself for 4 or 5 hours here and there, playing either World of Warcraft or Dragon Age or something, but not actually, about 4 hours has been about the max that I've kind of lost track of time with. And then I just kind of come back and I'm like, okay, well, what else can we do? You know, and then I've got chapters to edit on my novel. I've got fan fiction stories I want to write. You know, and working on trying to get new clients for my business. So I'm doing all these different types of things. But, you know, the whole thought of just going out and finding a new partner, you know, like, just, I really don't have any interest in doing that. And you know, the way I met my husband was at a party through a mutual friend. So that's my thinking in the future is, you know, as I go out and live my life day to day, I meet people, and maybe I'll meet someone who could be a potential partner or not. But I'm happy and I'm okay without that. Because there's just so many variables out there. You know, I'm not getting any younger. I know I still look good for my age, but you know, how long is that gonna last? And then, you know, the fact that I'm going to be a hell of a lot pickier about things. You know, I am acknowledging that I'm demisexual, and therefore I really will not engage in just, you know, casual sexual relationships with anybody. And, you know, seriously, if you can't hold your own in a conversation, then, you know, instant friend zone. Because that's just, I really have no interest in spending my life with someone who can't hold a conversation with me. And maybe that's arrogant, and maybe that's, you know, whatever, but, you know, that's just, it's who I am, and, you know, that's just, I'm just not going to accept a partner like that. And so that's just me going forward, is just, you know what, I'm going to focus on myself, and I'm going to focus on my life. And if someone wonderful comes into my life that happens to be attracted to me and has all the components that I need to make me happy, you know, sure, I'm certainly not closed to the idea of another relationship, but it's certainly not something that I'm going to be diving out there looking for. You know, and I think that's perfectly fine. I think it's fine for me as a woman to be by myself and take care of myself. I don't need a man to take care of me. My husband and I, we took care of each other. We were very much equal partners in the relationship. We split most of our expenses equally. We did it based off of our income. So basically you take 100% of our incomes combined, and then what percentage mine was versus his, and then that's how we split our expenses. So we had this household account, and I think for a long time, he was contributing 60% and I was contributing 40%. That was basically the different percentages of how our incomes were. And so I would contribute. We knew, like, okay, this was our monthly budget, and we needed to put this much in every month to cover all of our expenses. And so I put in 40% of it, and he put in 60% of it. And that's just how we manage things. Later on, when he quit his job and became a full-time grad student, we switched it up. And I think I was contributing like 70% and he was contributing 30%. Even though he was no longer earning an income, he still had, he had a significant amount of savings, and so he was like, well, I need to contribute something. So we agreed to that kind of a split. And I'm just going off on all sorts of tangents now, aren't I? I do that a lot, don't I? Okay, I should probably wrap this up. But anyway, so now, if you were wondering what some demisexuality is, that's what it is, and that's what I am. And anyhow, I hope you found this video informative and not too rambling at the end. It probably was. Anyhow, I could just keep talking. I just know I can. So I really should have this right now. So thank you so much for watching. If you enjoy my videos, you know, give them thumbs ups. And I love comments. I love talking to people. So feel free to leave comments below and start a discourse with me if you want to. And until next time, take care. Bye-bye.